So this is going to be some tips and tricks that I've learned using Bright over the years. There's a lot you can do with Bright. So if you haven't attended any of their trainings, I'd recommend you, when you log into Bright here, if you've never been on any of their webinars, click on Education and then Webinars at the top. And then if you scroll down, you'll see the ones that I would encourage you to go on are down here. Harnessing the Power of the Search, super important, and I clicked on this and I can see today's June 22nd. They literally have a class on the 24th on Friday. So they have these recurring trainings. So please utilize them. Please utilize these trainings as you start to learn how to use Bright. So this is a really important one to attend. Also HomeSnap Pro. Even I don't really use HomeSnap that much, just because when I got started, I bookmarked this site, saved it to my home pages. So that's just what I've done. So I've never really gotten into it, but I do use it sometimes. It's so much better. So this is another important one. So these two are good, and those are the biggest ones. I mean, all this other stuff I haven't attended, but I know that those two are good. So again, HomeSnap Pro for mobile and Harnessing the Power of Bright MLS Search to start. You know, you're in year 2 and you want to get an education on one specific thing, like identifying your target market in public records, then attend that class. Ironically, though, I do think that's a good class to attend because I'm going to show you a little bit about that now. So, tips and tricks. When you log into Bright, this is your home page. Right here is the market report. If I can ever get back to the home page. So this Market Watch thing here, if you click Manage, you can change this to a specific area, give you just a snapshot in the last 24 hours, week, whatever, for new listings, pendings, coming soons, all that fun stuff. Next, if you want to look up a property quick, let's say somebody calls you and say, hey, yeah, I'm interested in 123 Main Street, and you're like, oh my god, I don't know what that is, it's not my listing. You can log into Bright, quickly get to this page, you need this search bar, then you can type in, I'm not going to use 123 Main Street because it's such a common address. You can type in like 602 Tallowood. I just know that's a listing we have, so that's why I'm using that example. Hit enter, and boom. Okay, if I click on Agent One Line Display, I can see any listing that was ever put into Bright MLS with that address. So I can see that's a unique name. So there's only 3. It's only Mount Laurel, meaning that there's 3 results here. So I can see right away. Oh, you're calling about 602 Tallowood in Mount Laurel. Oh, that's a beautiful home listed for $499,900. Great. It's actually under contract right now. You know, blah blah blah. So that's a quick way to search for a property. If you type in 123 Main Street, you'll see there are 239 results. That's because it's pulling, when you do this, it pulls from the entire MLS. So for this example, you'd see, okay, well, Westminster, Carney's Point, no, those aren't the right ones. Okay, this is what they were calling about, this property in Woodstown. So you would just have to do a little bit more looking if you type in an address like that, but I use that feature all the time. So that's another quick tip. Next is when you're scheduling showings. If you're scheduling more than one showing at a time, let's say we're looking in Cherry Hill and we have 98 actives, click search, and let's just say that we're going to see these. We're going to see these 1, 2, you can't see it. I don't think there's a little bar that keeps popping up there for this recording software, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to see these 5 homes. So we've identified the 5 homes we're going to see. Probably not all going to be in Cherry Hill. Maybe they sent you 1 via Zillow, 2 via somewhere else. Okay, so you're going to have to get them all on the same page like this. How do you do that? You can actually use this. One easy way to do it is if you use this bar, you can type in the MLS number. So you can do MLS number 1, comma, MLS 2, comma, MLS 3, and then you can hit enter and it'll just show you those listings. So you'd have to get the first MLS number, save it somewhere, the second one, save it somewhere, the third, then you can type them all in, right, and hit enter. That'll get them all up. Or you can go to search and you can do residential sale and you can put in the different addresses here. You could do the same thing here. You can do MLS numbers here. But my recommendation is probably just going to be to do what I said. That's typically what I do. So when you have your results here, let me go back. Just do the Cherry Hill thing again. So we picked our 4 listings. We figured it out. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 listings that we're going to go see. Now you click on showing time with them selected. Then I can click on add to showing cart. Pick the date that we're going to go and see them. Then add your buyer here. You have to put a buyer on there. I'll just pick a random one. Okay. So what this does is it puts the showings, all 5 of them here, so you can request them all at once, and it shows you on a map the route it wants you to go. So it's saying, okay, start here, then go here, then here. All right, well, I'm going to say, I actually think that I'd rather start with this one so I can move them up. Okay, great. So now we're going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we do the 4th one first. And as you do this, you can actually see the cool thing about it is it tells you right here the amount of driving time you're going to need to get from listing 1 to listing 2 to and then from listing 2 to 3. So the first one's 8 minutes apart. So I'm going to say, all right, I'm scheduling this for, I accidentally picked today, so most of it's going to be blocked out, but that's okay. So I can say, all right, I'm going to schedule this one for 5 o'clock, from 5 to 5:30. Save. I'm going to do from, that's going to take me 8 minutes. We'll probably be there for 15 minutes, so I'll schedule this one from 5:15 to 6 o'clock to give me a little bit of extra time. Save. All right, ooh, now there's a showing that's already here, so it's an overlapping showing. So you can schedule it over top of it or whatever. So let's say I figured these 3 out, got it done, now down here, and I can't schedule a showing. I'm like, great, I can't schedule a showing here, it's blocked out. Why? It's all right, schedule the 4, so you click send requests, that'll send the 4 requests out. Then you can just text the agent for Rye Mill Terrace. You can go back into Bright, open it up, call them, say, hey, can I see that property? Why can't I get in there today? Blah, blah, blah. Let's say that, oh, sorry, there's no showings today. Or let's say that, all right, you can squeeze in at 6:45, that works. So you could come over here and you can say, once you hit send requests, it'll give you the option in a drop down to say that you are confirmed, and then you can even type in the lockbox code. Then you can print this out, save it as a PDF, you can put it in your folder, so you bring it to the showings with you, so it'll have the lockbox information, the time that you're approved for, all that stuff, and you can even send it to your client so that they know what your schedule is for the day. Best way to practice using this, do it for yourself. Schedule pick 5 homes that you want to preview, use Showing Cart, put yourself in as the contact, schedule the previews, then you'll see how it works, and you won't have to worry about messing it up. But this is like the single best feature, because if you're anything like me, for 2 or 3 years getting into this business, I was on Google Maps looking up this address and that address and trying to put them all on there and figure out the times in between and then saving the codes in my notes. It was a mess. This is much better. This is the way to do it. So next tip or trick is narrowing. So let's say you have a big range of properties here, and I say, I just want to look at these. You can hit refine, narrow, and that will bring you down to just these 5. Then I can save them if I want as a new save search, or do whatever I want to do, print them out, anything like that. What else? So search. If I wanted to, do a, well, how about this? This is an example here. So this right here, let's say you wanted a seller's disclosure. Let's say your client wants to know how old the roof is on this house. How do you find that out? Well, it's not in the listing anywhere. If there's any attachments for a property in Bright, it's going to be this little icon right here. So if you click on this icon, it'll show you the attachments. And if the seller's, okay, here you go, there's the property disclosure. So I can download it. If there's no icon here and you want a seller's disclosure, you just have to text the listing agent. So listing agent's information is down here. Another pro tip is their license number is usually here. Their broker's license number is usually here. Not always, but usually. If it's not, and you're doing a contract, I recommend using their MLS ID, but the agent's cell phone is typically this number. If you click on their name, it'll tell you their mobile phone right here and their preferred phone. Sometimes the agent puts the office number as their preferred phone, and then it'll show this is actually the preferred number here. So just a note, if you text this number and it comes back as a landline, it's probably because they have the office line selected as their preferred number. So you would want to click on the agent's name and see if their mobile phone is listed in Bright. So if you ever need an agent's cell phone number, you can find it out that way. Another thing you can do is view the property history here. So if you click on the H, this is going to show you every single time this property was listed in Bright MLS and give you a link to that old listing. Another thing you can do is click on this little Coliseum thing here, and this is the public records, so you can verify owner information, property taxes, all that kind of fun stuff here, assessed value, public records, history of the property taxes, and tax assessment for the property. And then you can run a buyer's closing cost worksheet if you had a buyer who wants to make an offer for this. That's a separate video. Or a seller net sheet. Let's say that you wanted to show your seller what they're going to walk away with. You can do either of them right from there. Another thing you can do is click this Send to Home Snap button, and that'll send it to your home, or you can send it to your phone that way, so you can send it to your client in a nice looking mobile, viewable way. Another thing that you can do with Bright, let's talk about data. Any data you need is in here. I'm going to give one example. So we'll do market, click on Market Statistics Report. We're going to put date range from May. Scroll down here, we'll do May 2021 to June as I recorded this. I want May 2021. So start from May 2021, end May 2021. So we're going to do just the month of May of 2021. And we're going to do the search area. We'll do Delran search. All right, and then click on Run Report. Okay, so here's the details for what went on last year in the market in May. In Delran, there were 26 units listed. Any of this data that I want to put aside, I can print this out or save it or whatever. But I'm just going to remember this one single number. Sold median, 305,000. Now I'm going to go back. So I'm going to hit revise, and I'm going to do May 2022. May 2022 to May 2022 in Delran, and I'm going to run the report again. So we can see that in May 2021, the median sold price was 305,000. In May of 2022, we can see the median sold price is a whopping 380,000. So why was that great? A few reasons. Let's say that you have a cleaned up database and you want to send out this statistic to anybody that lives in Delran, or just go through your database and run it pick every homeowner that's in your database, that's in your sphere, and say, oh, okay, this first person, they live at 123 Main Street in Morristown. Run the same thing for Morristown and text them. Hey, Susie, I was just doing some market research, and I noticed that the average sale price, or the median sale price in 2020 was 305. The median sale price in 2022 is 380,000. Isn't that crazy? Boom, send. Great way to touch your database. It's also awesome for marketing material, for flyers, for canvassing a neighborhood, for inviting people to the open house, to be able to put on your marketing material or a flyer. Do you want to sell your home? Look what you could have gotten look what you would have gotten last year. Look what you can get this year. Isn't it crazy? And etc., etc., etc. So that's just one of many reports. So to learn how to do more of those reports, again, that's under education and webinars, and there were reports on there that we looked at earlier that you can jump on. So other stuff. So if you click on clients and you click on auto email, when you send your auto emails out, you can see when your contact viewed your auto email. So if you send an email to a client, you can see when they visited the portal right here. So that's a nice thing that to know. So if people are not viewing it, you can see it right here. If it's got a red exclamation point, it's not sending. If it's got a green check mark, that means it's going and you're good, it's sending out. If it has a green circle here with no check mark, that's important to note, because what that means is your client did not open it up initially to start it. So you need to click on the search name right here, and then you can click over here. There will be a button that says resend welcome email. So if it's a green circle with no check mark, you want to resend that welcome email after a few days or whatever, so your client gets the welcome email again, which they can click on to start the auto search, to start it going. So that's the only downside. If you wanted to throw a random prospect onto an auto email, they're going to need to open that welcome email in order to get property alerts from you. If you put them on a neighborhood nurture and something like Command, there is nothing like that. It just shows them the properties in their email upon first email. All right, another tip is when you are building an auto search for a client who's looking for a house somewhere, leave it as broad as possible, because a lot of these fields in here are not mandatory when the agent puts in the listing. My example that I usually use is fireplace. Fireplace is something that you might have some buyer that says, I need a fireplace. It is not a want, it is a need. I must have a fireplace. So you would think, all right, I'm going to put in your criteria. You're looking in Cherry Hill, 300 to 500,000. Fireplace must be yes. So by doing that, You are relying on the agent, who is a person, to have, when they put the listing live in the MLS, to have selected that it has a fireplace. If they did not select anything, it will not show up in your search. So if you have a client, for that example, that must have a fireplace, unfortunately, you're probably going to have to just leave it like this. So you'll get the listing either way, and then you're going to have to look at use concierge mode, which should be another video. If you don't know how to set up an auto email, watch that video to learn what concierge mode means. That way you'll approve it first, so you'll have to look through the listing to see. So I say the same thing for garages, for, you know, like looking at a second level. You know, it can be a little challenging sometimes, so you want to leave your search as broad as possible. Same thing goes for subdivision. So let's say somebody is looking in Ramblewood. Well, subdivision is not a mandatory field. So if you type in Ramblewood here, and let's say the listing agent is from North Jersey and they're not familiar with Ramblewood, or maybe they paid, people have, like, some offices have a data entry person. Yeah, that's all fun and games until they put your listing in and they don't put in that it's in Ramblewood and they publish it to the MLS. Now you have a search set up with Ramblewood and it doesn't come up in your search. Then a week later, your client sends it to you on Zillow. It's already pending and you're like, why didn't I see that? Well, it's probably because the agent, in that case, it might be because the agent did not select a subdivision. And you have the search set up to only show you homes in Ramblewood. So a better way to do that is to pick a home in the center of Ramblewood and do a map search, or just find Ramblewood on the map here and use this little polygon feature here. If you find out where you're looking, you want to look in this neighborhood here, draw it out with the little polygon. That way any listing that comes up in that area will be included in your search. It's a more annoying but better way to do it. I often find myself using the map search for listing searches because of that little issue. All right, another thing in the map is the layers. So if you click on layers, the biggest one that I use is flood zone. Oh, I think I need to zoom in more. Yep, so you need to zoom in a little bit more, but then you can click on the layers, you can click on flood zones. So I can see now where the flood zones are. Not sure why that's still there. Go away, please. Okay. So if I go, I probably should be in like Delran or Riverton or something like that so you can see. I'll jump to Riverton. Okay, so let's say we're listing a house for sale in Riverton, or let's say you have a buyer that wants to buy a house. Maybe the listing agent didn't know if it's in a flood zone. Maybe they forgot to put that in there. So if you have the house right here, if you're in one of these houses here, your buyer's going to need flood zone. That could throw off the deal. That's going to impact the value of this home. So you can see down here the key. This home is in the 500-year floodplain. This one right here is not. But you might say to your client when you go under contract, you're literally 1 block away from the flood zone, so you probably should get flood insurance. Let's just say you forgot. It happens. People make mistakes. You forgot to look this up. The listing agent didn't disclose. You had no idea. You go under contract. When title's pulled, it will get figured out, and the buyer will have to get flood insurance, so long as they're getting title insurance. Well, I should rephrase this. So long as they're getting a mortgage, they will need to get flood insurance on that home. So in most cases, you will figure it out before you go under contract. It should be all cases you figure it out before you go under contract. But this is one way to look at that. That's one nice thing you can do as an overlay for the map. All right, one more is listings. So it's a common misconception that you need to have the listing agreement completely signed and uploaded and everything like that before you can start entering the listing, if you have a listing coming up, into Bright MLS. I'd encourage you, when you have some downtime, don't let it get in your way of lead generating, but come in here and pretend to list your own home. So we are a self-governed industry. Bright MLS is relying on you and trusting you to get the listing agreement signed before you publish the listing in Bright. So if you click on listings and then you click add and edit listings, you can add a listing right in here. You can see I have a sample pretend listing of my own home here. So you can click new listing. You will not break it. You will not be able to publish it until you put all of the info in. So you will not break it. I encourage you. Click on listings, add and edit listings, click on new listing, residential, next. Put your address in here, put an address in here, go through the prompts, and the quickest way to do it is find your address, choose the tax record, not the previous listing. Click Next. It's pulling all of the data over here from the tax records right here. So you just leave it alone, let it pull from the tax records, click Add Values to Listing, and now you can see this is what it's like to put a listing in. Now you can pretend, now you can go through all these fields and put a listing in. So you can know what it's like, so when you get a listing, this is how you do it. Let's say that you know for a fact you're going to get that listing agreement signed, but you're not going to have time to do this. You can put the listing entirely in here, upload the pictures and everything. Just make sure you wait to click that Publish button. As you can see, I can't publish it until all these fields are in here. Just make sure you don't publish it until the listing agreement is inevitably signed. So I think that's it for this tips and tricks video. Hope you got something out of it. Check out the other videos on this playlist for other help with Bright.